Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Rhypi here. Welcome to Rhypi Talks. In this episode, we're going to talk about overcoming obstacles and challenges. For most, I can't say I'm the biggest person that can describe this because I know that there's people out there, even my streaming buddies, that have had to overcome many obstacles that I may not have to face in my real life. But for me, just one of those things that the obstacles can be physical, whether it's to overcome in a fight that you didn't think you was gonna win, whether it's wrestling or whether it's real life, because I know people who've had to do both, whether it's a mental one like math, like how I try to help people break over that obstacle or challenges of understanding math better than when they started. But a lot of things we can say about this, and probably at some point I'll be making more parts related to this, and it might be a future topic that I talk to people. But you guys like this idea of me interviewing or me just talking to you guys, and maybe start doing live conversations where I first do the video and then do a live after conversations. Feel free to like the video and subscribe so you can hear more about this, and maybe we eventually can communicate together live besides just the premieres. But overcoming is a strong word to say the least, because it involves you going over something or going through something in some way. Like I said, physicalness could be just that one fight that you didn't think was possible, whether it's a boss fight in the game, whether it's in real life that you have to overcome a bully, or for wrestlers every day when they're wanting to be a world champion or European champion or US champion and stuff like that, that they have to overcome different obstacles along the way to let them have that right to be in the contender match, and then have the contender match as well. But all in all is about just seeing how much you can grow, but also know that everyone's working to help themselves grow too. So it's just a matter of how much do you have what it takes, because there's gonna be times that it may feel frustrating because everyone's on an equal playing field and it's just a matter of chance. Other times that you're the only one serious, and it shows sometimes. Like for the bully example, you can say that if the bully doesn't think you be strong enough, that you're the only one having that mini training montage. So just different things to think about, because most bullies are not gonna constantly get better if they think they're gonna win. But if they think they're gonna lose, you'll see some of those bullies still practicing craft, and why some bullies you have to be careful, like in Karate Kid movies, where they're still working out their karate moves even if they're bullying Danny Russo. I forget his actual character name. But anyways, that he always has that challenge in the movies to overcome the strength of whoever he has to fight, whether it's the people at his local dojo that he didn't want to be part of, Cobra Kai, or in the second one when it was that guy who thought he was trying to steal tradition and stuff like that, or the third one when he was first thinking about partnering with someone else because he promised to make him stronger, but then found out that he was just someone that was in ranks of Cobra Kai and got scared. and list can go down and down of other movies that we can think about as well. When we've seen it in action and we've seen it in real life, like those of us that have seen wrestling in person, going from things that you don't think is a fair mashup, and sometimes overcoming obstacles, and sometimes it's people are evenly strength. Just depends on what's going on. And yes, I know sometimes in wrestling you're never going to be able to predict the winner, but some people like being able to predict because they want to gain something from it, or be like, yes, my favorite's winning. But all in all, one of the things we can say about overcoming obstacles, just me just trying to think of different ones that I can think of in real life. For me, and like I said, last episode, I can think of the bully where I overcome the bully. In this, I even had one also in 6th grade when I had a group of kids that kept thinking I was gay at the time, because I would be behind the bush, and then a kid who I was friends with at the time kept on being behind me on the bush, and people always thought we was doing something behind the bush, but it was just us wanting to sit down and not have to worry about the grass. But there was like a spot where you can sit on like concrete/bricks, so that's why we chose that spot. But most people didn't see that, they just saw that, and we always was looking at different things. Like he was showing me a new version of Heroes Might and Magic 3 at the time that I thought was fake, and now in future I know that that's not a fake game, but I always thought it was a fake game because I had the classic version of that game that I showed you guys throughout my first game playthrough. And sometimes I've been thinking about going back to it, but I don't know if anyone would be interested in it. But all that happened, the bullying didn't went away until the friend was gonna move away, even though he was back the next year, but he moved away temporarily. And one of my friends in the class, my math class out of all places, was behind me, and I was in the front, and looked at me one day, was like, do you want to do something about those bullies? Because she noticed it too. And the weird thing for me was the fact that I knew she had a boyfriend, and I think 8th grade boyfriend, because she was one of those people that everyone saw after. I'm like, yeah, but I don't know how. And she was the one who suggested of us pretending we're boyfriend girlfriend, and boyfriend, she already talked to the boyfriend said he would be fine with it. I'm just like, wait, what? But like I said, it was just one of those cases that she wanted to prove that I wasn't gay, even though I know now that people can't be gay. But at that time, for me, it was just the case that I didn't want false rumors about myself and stuff like that. But I wasn't sure how to prevent that rumor from not spreading, especially since it was in my art class. So it was like really awkward. But it was just interesting because she purposely made sure to start coming to where I would normally be in outside, and first couple times sat behind the bush with me and confused a lot of people because she's normally someone that arrives 5 minutes before the school day started, not an hour before like some of us did. But she was always surprised. It surprised a lot of us that she did that, to say the least. And then from there, the next week that she had me hold her hand for a week, and at the end of that week, she told off the main one who was bullying me of saying I was gay. And it's just funny to think about because I was not sure what to say, so I didn't say anything. But ever since that moment, people stopped thinking I was gay because of it. And I'm just like, I'm glad that the fake rumor didn't stay, and why in high school I became a rumor squasher slash peacemaker, because I wanted to make sure that people didn't have to put up with that. And I was able to do it for very successful. Only a few times that I was able to successfully do it, but that's what you can say about anyone who tried to squash rumors or be a peacemaker at your school. And I was at a school where in the past it was considered a place where a lot of people would fight, but while I was in school, none of us really fought. And I even had a lot of bodyguards slash ninjas, as we can joke about, because of all the people I knew. And that can be a different story another day, that I didn't really have to worry about someone wanting to pick a fight with me. But I remember in middle school I had a couple of people who was wanting to fight me, but always found clever ways to get out of it. Mainly that I was never seen before I got onto the bus, or my dad picking me up, depending on what year we're talking about. But it's just one of those funny things, to say the least. About overcoming obstacles by just going the other way around, or not even bothering of it being a place. It's funny to think about that some of the, from both that bully of 6th grade and the times people tried to fight me in 7th and 8th grade and even 6th grade, that there's still some people that I still sometimes talk to every now and then, but not as much, of course. But it's just interesting to think about how someone can be enemies with you, but then be someone that wants to be a friend because they realize their mistake, or they realize that you wasn't who they thought you was, and stuff like that. And sometimes that happens. And even mentally, for overcoming obstacles, whether it's math, whether it's English or other subjects, but math and English you hear most, where math it's because of letters being introduced or fractions being introduced, or a combination of both, that makes someone not want to like math, or they had that bad teacher that makes them not want to do any more math, or do have it where they want to explore it more. And that's why me as a teacher, I always wanted to foster that, but also didn't want students to try to just cheat their way out of the answers. And I am sure that some of them, they kept on complaining about it, but some of them don't realize that just 10 years ago they would have had to do a series of 40 questions in 2 days, where for me it was always at most 10 questions every 3 days at most sometimes 10 questions every 2 days. But it wasn't the case where they had to be told, okay, your questions are on the back textbook that you need to do, that these are your numbers, solve these questions and learn from the textbook. That's what we had to do sometimes when I was in high school. They didn't have to worry about that kind of learning, because I didn't want it to be where it felt like they just had to look at a textbook, because no one in the real world uses textbooks as much anymore. But even if in college they do, but it's just one of those catch-22s that you can't fully prepare a student, and no matter how much you try to help, that you always have some that complain and some that are unhappy about their grades and stuff like that. But and some of them I couldn't let them overcome the challenge of passing or getting a grade they wanted just because they cheated their way out of it. I'm not gonna honor that. That to say the least. That I can just talk about many different things, and sorry that I repeated the word that 3 times, but nonetheless, when we're talking about overcoming obstacles, that sometimes there's a reason why you can't overcome it, because you try to cheat your way out of it, or like in some video games when they have it programmed that you can cheat, but then they have something that you cannot overcome because they want you to not cheat. Like in one game, I forget what it's called, they have it where you, once it's coded in that you cheated, that they send an unkillable monster at you every time until you restart your save from the beginning. But then there's times when you can tell that they stop the story progression and they talk to you in the 4th wall breaking. So that's why some people enjoy it in the movies sometimes, like Deadpool and Ferris Bueller Days Off and stuff like that, where it's breaking the 4th wall of the illusion of movies that aren't aware that you're there. But some people enjoy that because of that. That gives you a sense of, oh, don't know what's gonna happen next. If you've never read the material in front of you. But all in all, just overcoming obstacles and challenges can be a fun thing, can be a challenging thing, can be a rewarding thing, can be a lot of things. But if you try to cheat your way out of it, that all it does is hurt you at the end if you are successful at cheating. Because like I can think of right now that I know some of my friends, when I was tutoring them in college, and then they tried to cheat off of the test, and then during the final when they had those same questions again, the professor caught that they couldn't remember how to do it, and they accidentally slipped that they cheated the first time, so they had to worry about going through the process of plagiarism. And between that and people I've seen that try to do it where they copy what they see online and write it as the essay, and they get the plagiarism thing. And even when I try to show my students that, I'll tell them why they shouldn't do it, because how it affects them, whether it's in the business world and stuff like that. That some don't agree with me until it happens to them, besides my class. And I have had some that says sorry to me because of that. I've had it where I had to be the one that be like, I'm not accepting this until you redo it, because I can tell that it's not their words, especially now with the AI stuff, because so many times you can tell that a student doesn't even look at it, and I'd be like, okay, so what's that word? And they can't tell me. I'm like, then why are you turning this paper in? Because for me, as a math teacher, we had to do writing samples, so for me, I had to look at that, and when I can tell that, I give them a 50 because I can't grade them a 0 because they've done it, but can't give them 100 because they cheated. And for me, it was always the 50 is the lowest you can make, besides times I have had to put 0 so you can see what you're truly making. But I still, at the end of the 9 weeks or 6 weeks, make it a 50 because I want you to have a chance to actually pass for the semester. But no matter what, I did not take the opportunity, because like if it's 6 weeks, that it's the case that you can make a 50 or 6 weeks and then make it 70 and 70 or 80 and 80, that you don't necessarily have to have an 8 in the class. But when it's a 9 weeks, kind of harder, yes, because you have to make a 90. But most of my students that did try, once they realized they messed up, they had that 60 originally, so they only needed the 80. But some, no matter what you tell them, they will still want to not listen to you. But at the end of the day, it's up to you how you overcome your own obstacles. That I can't tell you for sure how it's gonna work for you guys, and we'll probably do a part 2 of talking about other kinds of obstacles and challenges, or how to overcome things. But for now, we'll just leave it like this. And right now I'm thinking about adding this to some of the questions that I asked people that wants to answer it, because I know not everyone's gonna want to answer this question, because it doesn't matter to them, or the case that they don't feel like they've had a challenge along the way. But just remember, you got this, and hopefully you learned something from this, but also that the video was somewhat informative to you guys. But I hope everyone has a good morning, afternoon, evening, depending on when you're watching this video. See you guys next time on Rhypi Talks, when we're doing weekly episodes every week on Tuesday. See you guys next time. Peace.